Let's start with a comment from last week's video. Jeremy Powell, how dare you say that I can't sing? I didn't spend 10 years being classically trained for you to come on here and slag off my singing. I will prove it to you. Me.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Hello everybody and welcome back to another week of Championship predictions. The season is hotting up. Oh yes, who can possibly predict what's gonna happen? Well, that is why I am here. If you are new here, thank you for joining us. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. As once again I try to go through hours and hours of statistics and analysis to give you the best possible predictions for this weekend. The only rule is there are no rules, but the other rule is a golden rule. Oxford always win. Alright, no need to laugh. It's been a while since we've had a win, I know, but that just means that we're even closer to that golden moment. Look out, Norwich. We are coming for you, because that is exactly where we're going to start. It's Friday Night Lights and it's a trip to Carrow Road for Norwich City versus Oxford United. Undoubtedly the game of the weekend, I'm sure you will all agree. Oxford's away form this season has been terrible, just the one win on the road all season, so a lot of you will probably be backing Norwich in this one, and with Josh Sargent banging in the goals, USA, who could blame you? Let me take you back to the opening day of the season, where a little ragtag upshot club called Oxford United played Norwich City on the opening day. A glorious day in August it was. Oxford United were full of all the optimism and excitement of being back in the Championship for the first time in 25 years. There was a huge banner of Des Buckingham unfurled in the Oxford United home end, showing loyalty to our Desire, who had got us up promoted through the playoffs. Oh, what a time it was back then. And Oxford, full of that early season optimism, outplayed Norwich City, outscored Norwich City and beat Norwich City by 2-0. But my goodness, does that feel like a long time ago. We've got to be romantic, haven't we? Oxford are not in good form at the moment, so I've got to cling on to some form of hope. And if Oxford can beat Norwich away, of course I'm going to be backing it, then it will be a league double over the Canaries, so they will get a double shame on the next video. But it is going to be a difficult ask. I am under no illusions, but I do have a little bit of optimism after the second half performance against Coventry last time out. Hey, at least we scored some goals. And who knows, maybe Ollie Romani will score us the goals to get us the victory.
Who?
Well, remember the name, because of course I'm going to be backing my beloved Oxford United, because I have to do it. I'm beholden to this golden rule. Probably not going to happen, but as I say, we live in hope. Norwich City 1, Oxford United 2. Moving on to Saturday's games now is Coventry City versus Stoke City. A tale of two cities, and my goodness, it's two contrasting fortunes in these two cities. Coventry are absolutely smashing it in this Championship at the moment. They've stormed their way up to 5th place with another win over my beloved Oxford United. Frank Lampard is doing a phenomenal job. Players coming back fit for Coventry as well. It's all looking rosy for the Sky Blues, and I think you have to back them to get a victory over their ex-boss. But it is a case, it's not the only time we'll see this weekend, of an ex-boss returning to his old club. So maybe Mark Robins can throw in a little banana skin there and upset the form guide and get one over on his old employers. But you just can't see it happening, because Coventry have just been in such good form at the moment, and I think the Sky Blues are going to win again. I'm going for Coventry City 3, Stoke City 1. Watford versus Millwall is next up, and Watford continue to be a very funny side in this league. A few weeks ago, you thought that it was all over for Watford for their season. You thought they were going to just slump down towards mid-table and they'd have no chance of getting into playoffs. But 2 wins and a draw later, and they're only 3 points off the playoffs and very much back in the mix. Millwall, you feel, might just have run out of steam, and they might be just one of the first teams that have got nothing to play for, sitting quite comfortably in 12th place, but 7 points away from the playoffs does seem too much of a gap, especially as they just don't seem like they're going to be able to string a bunch of wins together to close that gap. So I just don't feel Millwall to be consistent enough, but they remain a very difficult side to play against and to beat. But Watford will be fancying their chances at home, but I just feel this one's going to end all square, and I'm going to go for Watford 1, Millwall 1. Bristol City versus Hull City, another tale of 2 cities, and another one that's quite difficult to predict. As I say, Bristol City are in pretty good form. It's only 1 defeat in the last 6 games. They're level on points with West Brom, but just outside the playoffs on goal difference. Hull City look like they're languishing down the bottom of the table, but a huge win over Plymouth, a rare home win for Ruben Sellers' side, has lifted them up to 19th place. Nice 5-point cushion to the drop zone. And we know from what we've seen over recent weeks that Hull are a much better side away than they are at home, and have had some huge scalps over the likes of Sunderland, over the likes of Sheffield United. So you certainly cannot rule the Tigers out in this game. But I just feel that the momentum is going to be with Bristol City, and I feel they're going to be too strong on their own patch, and they're going to end up nicking a tight game, but it is going to be a win for the Robins. It's going to be Bristol City 2, Hull City 1. Burnley versus Luton Town will stop the presses, because Burnley have actually conceded a goal. Well, they actually conceded a bunch of goals to Preston in the FA Cup, but then they went and won the game against Cardiff, but they conceded that first goal in, I don't even know, let's say since time began. It's been a long time. But will that open the floodgates? I doubt it. And worryingly for other sides, certainly those ones pushing for promotion, is Burnley have started to score some goals. It's no longer just 1-0 to the Clarets anymore. They're starting to get a few 2s and 3s. And they'll be thinking that they will get a nice, comfortable win against Matt Bloomfield's Hatters, who have not been very good on the road, been pretty terrible on the road, and been pretty terrible all season. But they are themselves coming off the back of a victory, a very hard-fought victory against Portsmouth. But that was no mean feat, because Pompey have been in good form, and Luton had to get that win somewhere, so that was Matt Bloomfield's first win in charge. So who knows? There's still a lot of talent in this Luton side that have been underperforming all season, but I do just think that Burnley are going to be too strong for them, and they're going to run away with a pretty comfortable scoreline. The game may not reflect what the scoreline's going to end up, but I'm going to go for a big win for Burnley. Burnley 3, Luton Town 0. Get your peanuts, get your hot dogs, because we are off to the baseball ground, folks, for Derby County versus Blackburn Rovers. And what is the story here? Well, it is John Eustace going up against his old club. The side that he left just a few weeks ago. The side that were in the playoffs when he left in Blackburn Rovers to join a side in Derby County that sit bottom of the league. Who's scratching their head over that decision? I think quite a few of us still are.
Not a great plan.
And it's got to be said that it's a Derby County side that look quite devoid of inspiration, of energy, and I'm not surprised with what I've seen of Derby over recent weeks to see them bottom of the league. I know it was just a tight, narrow game against Middlesbrough, which they lost late on due to a mistake, but they just don't seem like they're showing any impetus, any gusto to go out and win games of football. But surely, don't call me Shirley, up against his old club, he's going to send this Derby side out and give it a go. Give it a go, at least, Derby. What have you got to lose? But let's not forget that Blackburn remain one of the most underrated sides, and they have appointed a new manager now in Villarreal Ismail. He takes over a Blackburn side who, like Bristol City, are level on points with West Brom in the playoffs, but sit outside on goal difference. But I have a funny feeling that this is going to go the way of the Rams, and it is going to be Derby's first win under John Eustace. I'm hoping it isn't going to be something that inspires them to a lot more wins, but I feel that they're just going to get a win here. I hope I'm wrong, and I'd like Blackburn to win this game, but I feel it's going to go Derby's way. Derby County 1, Blackburn Rovers 0. Plymouth Argyle versus Sheffield Wednesday.
Come on, Wednesday!
My goodness, I work with Wednesday fans, and I still say they are the most defeatist bunch of fans I've ever met in my life. I know we normally always a bit derogatory about our own team of saying that, you know, only we could do this, only we could do that. But they really are so pessimistic. They played well against Sunderland. It was a tight game. They came out the wrong side of it. Dodgy decision for the first goal, but it was quite a tight game. But the fans I spoke to all said, we were shite. We were crap. It's like, no, you weren't. Stop being so miserable about your team. Remember, you stayed up on the last day of the season last season, and this season you're absolutely comfortable in mid-table, even if your dream of the playoffs has slipped away. But I digress about Danny Rolls, man. They're doing a pretty fine job. They're just going through not the best run of form at the moment. But going away to Home Park still remains a pretty tough test, because despite Plymouth's league position, virtually all of their 30 points have come at home, and they remain a good side, well, not a good side, a decent side, a handy side on their own patch. Played well against Man City, ended up losing that game, put a lot of effort into that game. Maybe that affected their game against Hull, because I thought largely they were quite poor. But that is away day blues for Plymouth, and they don't seem to be able to do anything on the road. But they'll be eyeing this one as a big opportunity to get a win against a Sheffield Wednesday side who are struggling. But I just don't think it's going to happen for Plymouth, and this is obviously a little bit of me leaning towards a side in the relegation side who I don't want to win, but I just feel Wednesday are going to nick it. They're going to spoil a bit of a Plymouth party here. Danny Roll usually is pretty good at setting his side up in away games to be quite good, quite opportunistic, can soak up pressure and hit on the counter-attack. And I just feel Plymouth's defence is going to be quite susceptible to Wednesday's kind of physicality. And I feel that Sheffield Wednesday are going to end up nicking a game and really putting a bit of a hammer blow to the Pilgrims. Probably going to be wrong on this one, but it's just a little hunch. Plymouth Argyle 1, Sheffield Wednesday 2. Sheffield United versus Preston North End. Well, it's all smiles again for Chrissy Wilder's Sheffield United, bouncing back well with a win away at QPR. Very difficult place to go. Nobody likes going to Shepherd's Bush, do they? But the Blades came away with a very impressive 2-1 win, and they'll be thinking back at Fortress Bramall Lane that they'll be able to get another win on the board against the Preston side, who did superbly well to beat Burnley in the FA Cup, and they're the only sole survivor of a championship side into that quarter-final. So congratulations, North End fans. And going okay in the league as well. Become a lot more hard to beat under Heckingbottom. Again, another ex-manager going back to his old club. So Preston certainly won't be pushovers in this game, and it'll usually be, as usual for Sheffield United, it'll be about them just finding a way to win rather than them being amazing and outplaying a Preston side who did pick up another draw in the week as well. But I just think that Sheffield United are going to win the game. They'll find a way to win. It might not be pretty, but they'll win it. Sheffield United 2, Preston North End 0. Sunderland versus Cardiff City. Well, the world of Sunderland AFC is a weird, wild and wonderful one, isn't it? Yes, they bounced back and got a win at Hillsborough. I predicted them to do it. I did a much larger scoreline than what they ended up getting, but it was a good win nonetheless. But I've got to say, Black Cats fans, you Mackhams out there, that gap is starting to look a bit insurmountable to me. I just don't see you being consistent enough, and you haven't shown that you're going to be consistent enough to start challenging Leeds, Sheffield United and Burnley for those top spots. I feel it is going to be a playoff berth for you, and it's going to have to go through that lottery of the playoffs, I am afraid. And this is a sort of game where you become a cropper in recent weeks against a Cardiff side who have eased some of their relegation fears in recent weeks, but not done enough to pull themselves away too much from the drop zone. They did lose to Burnley midweek, but it was a tight game and they pushed them all the way. So they'll be thinking, why can't they go up to the Stadium and Light and do the same? Especially because Sunderland have faltered at home against sides down the bottom like Hull in recent weeks. But I still feel that I'm going to be backing Sunderland to win a game at home. It's probably going to be torture again for you Sunderland fans. It's probably going to be, you may even get pegged back or fall to an opening goal, but you'll win it eventually. Sunderland 2, Cardiff City 1. Swansea City versus Middlesbrough. Well, again, Middlesbrough are such a basket case of a club, and what a roller coaster it has really been for them. Again, a couple of weeks ago, you'd just be saying that they've fallen away. There's no way they're going to be in contention for the playoffs on their recent form. But then they go and win 2 games in a row, and they find themselves just 2 points off the playoffs once again. It's all to play for. It's just about who can be consistent as we head down this final stretch. Swansea look like they've got no fears whatsoever now. Shackles have been a bit released since Luke Williams has been removed from his duties, and the Swans sit quite comfortably in 16th place, 10 points above the relegation zone. They'll start to feel that they'll be job done for the season in a few weeks, and certainly with Oxford needing to go there on the final day of the season, hopefully they will already be on the beach. But that mud bath of a pitch doesn't seem like much of a mud bath anymore that Luke Williams was complaining about. But what do I do for Middlesbrough games? It's so hard to predict, and I've done this a bunch of times for Middlesbrough, and it usually doesn't end up getting anywhere near it. But I'm going to do it once again. This is going to be my Desmond of the weekend. Swansea City 2, Middlesbrough 2. West Bromwich Albion versus the Queen's Park Rangers. Baggies fans out there. You guys are doing pretty well. Yes, you dropped down to 6th and Coventry jumped above you, but getting a draw at Elland Road, that is no mean feat. And what a chance you had to win it as well. Maybe Tony Mowbray has finally found the solution. Winning home games, picking up points on the road. And I've still got to say, look, that's a really good result. QPR, again, they just look like another one of these sides where you feel like their season is over. You can't see them being consistent enough to get into the playoffs. The form has certainly tailed off a little bit in recent weeks, but they are still very comfortable in that lower mid-table spot. And the needs must for the Baggies just makes me feel that they are going to get another pretty comfortable win on their own patch. They're going to dominate possession, create a bunch of chances, and stick a couple of them in the old onion bag. West Bromwich Albion 2, the Queen's Park Rangers 0. And we move to Sunday for the final game. And what a game it's going to be. What an atmosphere it's going to be at Fratton Park for Portsmouth versus Leeds United. The leaders are in town, and it'll be interesting to see what Leeds can produce. They've been pretty much immaculate other than that draw they had against West Brom last time out. But it's going to be interesting what Leeds can produce going away to one of the toughest tests in the Championship, and that is away at Fratton Park at the moment, because Portsmouth have been flying on their own patch, winning games for fun. Yes, their 3-game winning streak came to a screeching halt at Luton, but that is away from home, where they've largely not been great. At home, they've been really good and really solid, and I'm really intrigued to see what Portsmouth can do up against the league leaders. They've really got nothing to lose in this game. I'd love to see Portsmouth really go out there and take the game to Leeds, force Leeds to come up with some answers to try and beat them. And I think it is going to be that sort of game. I don't think Pompey aren't the sort of side that's just going to sit back and play on the counter-attack. They're going to come out and give it a go. It seems to be the best way forward for Pompey as well. But that does leave them vulnerable at the back. I do feel Portsmouth have got it in them to cause an upset in this game, and I wouldn't be shocked if they did take the lead. But I'm not going to be backing Portsmouth to win it. I am still going to be backing Leeds. Let's not kid ourselves. They've been the best side this season, and when the chips have been down, Leeds find a way to win. And I think it might be that sort of a game for the Whites again. So Leeds go away, might have to struggle a little bit, but in the end, they will get the victory. They've been such a clutch side this season, and it feels like they are storming away to the title, despite only being 3 points ahead of Sheffield United. But a big win for Leeds on the road. Portsmouth 1, Leeds United 3. Let's not forget that Portsmouth did get a 3-3 draw away at Leeds on the opening day of the season. But that, like Oxford's win over Norwich, seems a long, long time ago. But that is your lot, everybody. Those are your predictions. Hope you enjoyed the video. Leave your predictions. I've been loving some of your comments lately, so please keep it up. Very much appreciate all the kind words. Very appreciate all the fun and Mickey taking as well. So keep it up, keep it going, and we'll be back to do more predictions, more reviews of Oxford games as this season is getting to the business end. Thanks for watching, and as always, let's leave it to Leonard Nimoy to see us home.
My work is done here.
What do you mean your work is done? You didn't do anything.
Didn't I?